This is one of America's most beautiful cemeteries. It's huge, it's historic, and it's home to thousands of the dead. Welcome to Spring Grove Cemetery. Cholera was running rampant through the city, and people were dying left and right. So this plot of land was set aside to bury the victims. But before they knew it, the cemetery started to expand beyond just the victims of cholera. People of all social classes from all walks of life were buried here. And over time, it grew to become the largest non-denominational cemetery in the United States. The cemetery was originally designed to be a garden cemetery, which meant that instead of having rows upon rows of headstones, the graves were placed among trees and other natural features. The arboretum provides a beautiful backdrop for photos, and the historic mausoleums make it feel like you've stepped back in time. Of course, it's still primarily a cemetery, and the graves of thousands of people are here. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Also, check out my other videos about cemeteries if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. But it's also a place where people come to remember the dead and to celebrate life. This design made Spring Grove one of the first rural cemeteries in the United States. It also made it a popular spot for picnics and other outdoor activities. You can take a tour or simply wander around on your own. Either way, I think you'll agree that it's one of the most beautiful places in the city. In fact, for many years, people were allowed to drive their cows into the cemetery to graze. Those days are long gone, but the Arboretum remains one of the main attractions of Spring Grove. Visitors come from all over to see the trees and other plants that have been carefully cultivated here for over 200 years. There are more than 10,000 trees on the grounds, including some that were planted by famous people like President William McKinley. The cemetery was established in 1827 when a group of Cincinnati businessmen purchased 33 acres of land along the Ohio River to serve as a burial ground for cholera victims. Over 200 years later, the cemetery spans 185 acres and holds the remains of more than 76,000 people. Some of the earliest settlers of Cincinnati are buried here, as well as many Civil War veterans. There are thousands of people buried here who died young, whose headstones are simple and heartbreaking. There are entire sections of the cemetery dedicated to victims of disease, poverty, and war. The Civil War, in particular, is remembered here with a large monument that lists the names of those who died in the conflict. It's a moving tribute to those who gave their lives for the Union. Wealthy families built elaborate mausoleums for their loved ones, complete with intricate carvings and statues. Some of the mausoleums are made entirely out of marble, and others are made out of brick and stone. One of the most famous mausoleums in the cemetery belongs to the Riddle family. It was designed by the same architect who designed the nearby music hall, and it is considered to be one of the finest examples of Greek Revival architecture in the country. The cemetery is also the final resting place for at least 149 African Americans who were formerly enslaved. Many of their headstones are unmarked or difficult to read because during the time they were buried, it was customary to only mark the grave with a number. These men, women, and children were some of the first African Americans to be buried in an integrated cemetery in the United States. Throughout the 19th century, Spring Grove became more and more popular. But not everyone who's buried in Spring Grove is famous or wealthy. One of the most fascinating things about Spring Grove is its arboretum. In recent years, Spring Grove has become a popular spot for weddings and other events. If you ever find yourself in Cincinnati, I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you for watching.